Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of The Walking Dead, but with a twist. We're not just talking about our heroes, we're exploring one of the most formidable, complex, and brutally efficient groups they ever faced, the Saviors. The question we're asking is, if you were thrust into their world under Negan's rule, where would you fit in? What would your role be? First, let's set the stage. The Saviors weren't just a random gang of thugs. They were a highly organized society built on a foundation of fear, loyalty, and a twisted sense of order. At the very top, you have the man himself, Negan. He's the charismatic, ruthless leader. Being Negan isn't a role you apply for. It's a position you seize through sheer force of will, intelligence, and a terrifying ability to command respect. He's the king, the strategist, and the final word on everything. Only a select few could ever dream of holding this spot. Just below Negan are his lieutenants. Think of them as the generals of his army. Simon was the perfect example, charismatic in his own right, but utterly brutal. Dwight, Erat, Gavin, Lorat, they were the trusted inner circle. These individuals were responsible for managing entire outposts and leading large groups of saviors. To be a lieutenant, you'd need a combination of tactical skill, unwavering loyalty, or at least the appearance of a tend, a willingness to do Negan's dirtiest work without question. You'd be feared, respected, and have a level of comfort most others could only dream of. But the pressure is immense. One scoop, and you could be facing the hot end of an iron or the wrong end of Lucille. So, maybe being in the inner circle is too much heat for you. What's next? You could be a point collector or an enforcer. These are the faces most communities, like Alexandria, the Hilltop, and the Kingdom, saw. They're the ones who show up on schedule, carrying crates and demanding their tribute. Your job is to intimidate, to enforce Negan's will, and to make sure everyone pays their dues. You need to be tough, imposing, and good in a fight. You get to travel, you get to feel powerful, and you're a clear step above the workers. But you're also on the front lines. Every supply run is a risk, not just from walkers, but from rebellious communities looking for payback. You'd have to constantly watch your back. Now, let's say you're not exactly a frontline brawler. You're more of a thinker, a problem solver. That's where a role like Eugene's comes in. You could be an engineer or a Grembley-Gunk specialist. Your value isn't in your strength, but in your brain. You'd be responsible for maintaining the sanctuary's infrastructure, keeping the lights on, the fences powered, and maybe even figuring out how to make bullets. You'd be highly valued by Negan, earning you significant perks and protections. You wouldn't have to go on dangerous runs, and you'd likely get better food and living quarters. The downside, you're a high-value asset. Your freedom is limited, and your survival depends entirely on your usefulness. If you can't deliver, you're in big trouble. What if you have medical skills? You'd be a doctor, like Dr. Harlan Casson, or his brother, also Dr. Casson. In this world, a doctor is worth their weight in gold. You'd be responsible for patching up saviors after fights, treating illnesses, and generally keeping the population healthy. You'd be one of the most protected and respected individuals in the sanctuary. Negan himself would ensure your safety, because a healthy army is an effective army. However, your services are not your own. You work for Negan, and you treat who he tells you to treat. The ethical dilemmas would be immense, and like the engineer, Your life is valuable only as long as you can perform your duty. Perhaps you're not a specialist, but you're strong and willing to work. Then you'd be a worker. This is the largest group within the sanctuary. Your life would be one of labor. You might be farming on the upper floors, sorting salvaged goods, maintaining the walker fence, or cooking in the kitchens. It's a tough life. You live on a point system, earning credits for your work to get food and basic necessities. You have little to no power and live in constant fear of the higher-ups. It's a life of survival, pure and simple. You keep your head down, do your job, and hope you don't draw any unwanted attention. But there's a certain safety in anonymity. You're not on the front lines, and as long as you're a productive member of the collective, you're generally left alone. Beyond the sanctuary, you have the outpost guard. These saviors manned the various satellite locations controlled by the group. Your job is a mix of security and logistics. You guard the outpost from external threats and ensure the smooth flow of supplies back to the sanctuary. Life at an outpost might be a little less oppressive than being under Negan's direct gaze 24/7. But it is also more isolated and potentially more dangerous if a large horde or an organized enemy attacks. You need to be disciplined, vigilant, and able to work well in a smaller team. And finally, there's the most unfortunate role of all. A wife of Negan. This wasn't a position of honor, but one of survival. Women like Sherry and Amber made a difficult choice to escape the harsh life of a worker, trading it for a different kind of prison. They received luxuries and protection, but at the cost of their freedom and autonomy, bound by Negan's strict and twisted rules. It's a role that highlights the darkest aspects of the Savior's society, showing the extreme lengths people would go to just to secure a slightly better existence. So, looking at this complex, brutal hierarchy, where do you see yourself? Are you the strategic leader, the loyal lieutenant, the Tafasnel's enforcer, the brilliant engineer, the life-saving doctor, or the everyday worker just trying to get by? Each role had its own set of risks and rewards, its own path to survival in Negan's new world order. It really makes you think about the choices people make when civilization collapses and a new, harsher one rises from its ashes. Let me know in the comments below what role you think you'd end up in and why. It's a fascinating thought experiment. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the worlds we love. See you next time.